If I said to you that YouTube, being a YouTube creator at the age of 59, is keeping me sane in my retirement, that might sound like a pretty bold claim. But the truth is it is. And in this video, I want to share why that is the case, why being a YouTube creator, I still feel a little bit strange saying that. Content creator, YouTuber, I don't know. It's the thing that's making me get up in the morning now that I've retired. And I'm just going to grab a bite of lunch. I've got myself a little bit of sushi. I'm going to eat this and then I'm going to come right back to you and tell you just why YouTube is so good for me in my retirement. I blooming love pickled ginger. Hi, if you're new around here, I'm Bev. I'm a 59-year-old early retired woman in the UK. I actually retired quite recently, so if you follow my channel, you'll know this. But if you're new, hello and welcome, by the way. When I gave up work, I knew I didn't want to give up my YouTube channel. It's not a massive channel, but I've been working on it for 2 years, and it's a slow burn. But it's the one thing that I absolutely love doing. I just never get bored of the whole process. And it's become a real hobby. And interestingly, it's the one thing in my life now that I'm retired that still feels like it has routine and it still feels like it has structure. And I have ADHD, so having routine and structure, whilst I don't like it, actually is really important for me to be able to function well. And when I said in the title of this video that YouTube is keeping me sane in my retirement, I really don't think that that is an understatement. Or an overstatement, I should say. It's not an overstatement. I think one of the things I didn't really consider when I decided to retire was how I was going to continue to feel like I was adding value to the world. And you might argue that putting out the odd YouTube video isn't exactly world-changing stuff, but it is world-changing for me, and I think that's what's really important. There are lots of things that I could be doing instead of YouTube. I've certainly looked at doing courses, maybe going and doing an art course or an interior design course or something like that. I've looked at University of the Third Age, U3A, and looked at some of the things that they're doing. And the truth is, not many of them interest me at all. I could go and do volunteer work, but there's nothing really that is really inspiring me to want to go and do these things. I do want to try new things, but the driver behind wanting to try them is because it will give me good content for YouTube. It all keeps coming back to YouTube. And I have to confess that over the last 2 years, so I've had this channel 2 years at the end of this month. I had another channel before that I lost. Stupidity on my part. I somehow managed to delete the whole lot. But this one has been running for 2 years. I've recently got monetized. I haven't seen any of the fruits of my labours yet. I haven't actually reached the threshold for YouTube to pay me, but I have reached the threshold to be monetized on this channel. I've got another channel called The Good Life that I vlog about our camper van travels with my husband Mark, and I'm loving doing both. They're quite different channels, although they have a bit of an overlap, especially now that this one tends to be more based around my journey into early retirement and how I'm dealing with that. So if that sounds like, your thing, an early retired YouTuber, then welcome to the channel. You're in the right place. Now, another reason why I find it's kind of keeping me sane, apart from giving me a bit of routine, a bit of structure, is it's really helping me to slow down and notice the things that are around me. It's helping me to be a bit more considered, I guess, in how I'm spending my days. Now, I was going to go out for a walk and do a walk and talk, and I probably still will. So we might flick between the car and going for a walk in the woods, but the clouds are looking just a little bit naughty up there, and I'm not sure if they're going to behave. So if the rain stays off, I will get out and go for a walk. But that's the other thing. It's doing the YouTube stuff is making me get out and leave the house, because I think for me, I definitely could be guilty or fall into the trap, I guess, of just sort of becoming a bit of a hermit and staying in the house and not going out. I'm having to really force myself to go out and see friends. I'm having to force myself to go out and go for walks. Not at the weekends and when we go away in the camper van, that's easy, because then I'm doing stuff with Mark and it's easy. But doing stuff on my own, I know that I could fall into the trap of just kind of staying in the house and not doing anything. So from that perspective, YouTube is really helping me as well. I also think that even though I've been doing this YouTube stuff for a good few years now, I still feel like a real novice. There's so much to learn when you do YouTube. Everything from just the basic, how do you upload a video? How do you record and edit a video? How do you optimize YouTube so that hopefully your video is going to get seen? How do you create a thumbnail? All of those things, understanding how the YouTube analytics work so you can actually get some useful data and feedback. It's a massive learning curve, but my God, it is so rewarding. I love every minute of it. And I know a lot of people don't like the editing process, but that's the bit I love. I just love playing around and figuring out how different bits of the editing software work. So in many ways, having YouTube as a hobby now that I've retired is keeping my brain busy. It's keeping my body active because I'm getting out and about and doing more. And it's keeping my creativity flowing because I have to be constantly coming up with ideas of what it is I'm going to film. The vlog channel, actually, my Thorough Good Life, or The Good Life it is, channel, actually takes a bit more thought and a bit more effort than this channel, because I find I can quite happily just sit and talk to you guys through the camera, and it's quite minimal editing. The head to camera stuff is normally fairly easy to edit. The vlog stuff, I'm having to think more carefully about how do I take all of the footage I need and mesh it all together in some sort of cohesive, logical order. How do I make the story flow when you're basically just vlogging your day-to-day life? And that is something that is kind of new to me, and I'm loving it. And I suppose the purpose of this video is really to say to anybody out there who is retired, whether you're early retired or not, or thinking about retiring, or just looking for something that's going to challenge their brain and their body as they're getting older, I think YouTube is, well, I would go as far as to say I think everybody should do it. I've even managed to get my husband involved, and I never in a million years thought that he would ever want to put his face behind a camera or in front of a camera rather, and do YouTube. And he's getting much more comfortable on camera too. He's very funny. He doesn't, well, I think he probably does think he's funny, to be fair. He's not always that funny, but sometimes he can be very funny. When he doesn't try, if he's watching this, he's going to go mad. When he doesn't try, he's very funny. When he tries, it's a bit dad jokish. But when he doesn't try, he's very funny. And sometimes capturing him on camera when he's doing something funny is hilarious, and I love it. And it's given us both a kind of a purpose for when we're out and about in the camper van. Now, we probably don't need it, to be honest. I'm sure we could we would enjoy our time in the camper van, going and exploring places just as much as if we weren't YouTubing it. But the reason we love it is because actually the days where you took photographs and looked back at photographs are kind of gone now, or at least they are for us. But recording all of our trips and vlogging our trips, we've already started looking back. We started our channel about 2 years ago as well, and we didn't do anything with it for a whole year, and we've just picked it up again since we bought the camper van. But just looking back at some of the videos that we've made, are they any good? Well, they're a bit amateurish, I'll be absolutely honest. But one of our videos, that we did in the very early days, talking about a cruise that we'd been on, has got over 20,000 views. So we were obviously doing something vaguely right. And it means that when we go places, again, it's forcing us to sort of stop and slow down and find out about the environment that we're in. So we're actually, kind of growing the other channel together. And he would never have done that if I wasn't the instigator. I do know that. But yeah, just having that sense of purpose around, okay, if we do this, that will make good content. That would be good to film. Going places and thinking, well, we can see it from this angle, but I wonder what's round the corner. If we go round that way, I wonder what we could see. Because obviously, when you're filming things, you need to get out and start sort of exploring to see what's out there. So it's kind of forcing us to be more curious and explore places more. So all in all, it's really doing my mental health a heck of a lot of good. And I genuinely think it's one of those things that I guess you're creating a legacy, you're creating memories, you're capturing memories, you're learning skills, you're challenging your brain, you're getting out and being more active. There are so many positives, not least of which is, I'm not really thinking about this from a monetary point of view, but if we do make a few £100 a month from advertising, well, that's going to help pay for our camper van trips. It's another little bit of supplementary income as we head into retirement, and everybody would like a little bit more money, let's face it. So I can't really see many downsides to getting out there and building your YouTube channel. So, if you're sat on the fence, if you're thinking about it, I would just go and do it. Now, I know that for a lot of people, the idea of being on camera is probably quite daunting. But you get better at it. You get used to it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. I know when I first started, I was very wooden. It just felt really I was going to say it felt unnatural to be talking to a camera. It is unnatural to be talking into a camera. At the minute, I'm just staring at a lens. I've got a little DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which is a very small little camera, and it's a little bit like talking to a little robot, really, because it's got this sort of little gimbal bit, and it turns when you turn, and it's a bit like talking to a robot. But you just get used to it. And the best bit about it is, if you record something and it's absolute rubbish or it's absolutely awful, you just don't post it. There's no real pressure to get out there and put stuff out that you're not happy with. Although I would say, don't worry about it. It probably won't be anywhere near as bad as you think it is. But the only way to get better is to do more of it. So I would say, I'm never a big fan of people saying this is what you should do. But I do think it's worth considering as a hobby if you're in early retirement or retired and you're just wanting to do something that has so many benefits for your mental and your physical health. Genuinely, I genuinely, how many times can I say genuinely believe that YouTube is a really positive hobby for our mental health. That said, I think we need to be careful because you can get quite emotionally tied into this. You know, YouTube creator burnout is definitely a thing. I think you've got to think of it as a hobby and not get too tied up on, you know, I have to do this. I should be doing more. I should be, I have to post 3 times a week. And, you know, because then it becomes a job, doesn't it? And I'm not in the market for a job. I don't want YouTube to be my job. But so you can, if you're not careful, get a bit tied up in the whole emotional roller coaster. And I certainly can find that I get a little bit obsessive with looking at, you know, the view count and the subscriber numbers. And it's a balance between, you know, checking the numbers and being interested in them and using them as valuable data to give you feedback, and actually becoming obsessive and it taking over your life. And I've certainly been, you know, guilty of getting too tied up in the numbers and the emotion surrounding them. I think if you can let go of that, YouTube it will be good for your mental health. It won't be good for your mental health if you burn out from it. So you have to find that balance, which is why for me, I think now I'm enjoying it more as I'm doing it in my early retirement as a hobby than I was before when I first started this channel, and certainly the channel before that, where I started it as a marketing tool for my business, because then it felt much more pressured. Nowadays, it's just for fun. And last week I was vlogging. I went and watched a movie on my own, and I had a wander around a beautiful little, I don't know if it's a town or a village, I think it's probably a town, called Woodhall Spa. Earlier in the week I was vlogging, where was I? I'm trying to remember. What was I doing earlier in the week? Oh, I met a friend. I was vlogging about meeting a friend and having a walk down by the river in another town, Lincolnshire town. And that's the truth now. I just vlog so much and I record so much, I can't even remember what it is I've created. And for me, that might sound like I'm not really taking it seriously. And I kind of am, but not overly seriously, if that makes sense. It's a hobby and I'm enjoying it. And 1,700 people seem to be enjoying it as well. So they're my subscribers on this channel. As I said, it's quite a small channel. But I was getting quite hung up on the subscriber count and hitting the 1,000 subscribers so I could get monetized. And it's the funniest thing, because now that I am monetized, it hasn't had that same excitement about it that I expected it would have. It's just oh, that's good. Yeah, that's worth, you know, that's nice to know. I think I'm in a better place with YouTube than I've ever been. It feels like it's something I just love doing and I really want to do. And I'm not putting any pressure on myself to set big goals around it. If it takes a long time, it takes a long time, and that's fine. I think, you know, there's lots of, one of the things I have found about YouTube since I've been doing it is there's a whole load of advice out there, and you can get a little bit tied up in what you should be doing. And the truth is, you know, there's loads of ways to do things and they can all get you to the same destination. They might not all get you there at the same time, and it might be a different journey. And I like to use the analogy of, like, if I want to travel from London to Edinburgh, there are hundreds of different ways I can do that. I can get an aeroplane and fly, I can drive, I can get the train. There are lots of different ways that will get me to the same destination. And if I drive, there are endless different routes that I can take. Some are going to be direct. I could jump on the A1 and go straight up from London to Edinburgh, and it would be direct and probably a bit boring, but I would be focused and I'd know exactly where I was going. And that's the route, that's the strategy I would take, just taking the A roads, fast, straight roads, straight there. But that might not be the way you want to do YouTube. You might not want to take the direct fast route. You might be, like me, actually wanting to take all the little side roads where it might take you a heck of a lot longer to get there, but you're probably going to enjoy the journey more in the meantime. And for me, that means not being overly niche in the content that I put out. My content has changed significantly over the 2 years that I've had this channel. It's ebbed and flowed. Sometimes it's been about business, sometimes it's been about ADHD, sometimes it's been about menopause, sometimes it's been about being a YouTube creator. Recently it's been more about my retirement journey. And because of that, it's like I'm taking all the little wiggly country B roads on my journey to Edinburgh, and that is okay. That's okay. It just means it's going to take me longer to get there. And in reality, I don't even know what the destination is. I watch people like, and if you haven't watched her, she's worth watching. Alexa Serenoia was talking quite recently on one of her videos about her trajectory on her YouTube journey. And she was very clear in her niche. She had a very, very robust strategy. She was all in. She had a very clear goal. And she took basically the A roads. She got she took the A road. She took the motorway or the highway, if you're not in the UK, to get on her journey quickly. That hasn't been my experience, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. We have to do it our own way, don't we? Anyway, I am not going to go and have a walk in the woods and film. I might go for a walk in the woods, but I'm not going to film because I think I've said enough on this subject so far. And I hope, I don't know, hopefully if you're watching this and you're still watching and you are considering whether or not YouTube is for you, I'd just say give it a go. You've got nothing to lose. You can take as long as you like to get wherever you want to go with it. But for your mental health, I genuinely think it is one of the best things you can do. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.